Good evening, friends. It's time for Zoom into Wine. It's Wednesday night, 7 o'clock. My name is Ian Blackburn. I'm the host of Learn About Wine and also the buyer for the merchantofwine.com, where we create content called Zoom into Wine. We get together some great people to talk about some wonderful wines, and we would love for you to be a part of our community and join us every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Um, I'm tonight we're going to be taking a look at some great Syrah-based wines. We've covered almost every grape variety, traveled all over the world in the last 4 years, and tonight we're keeping it pretty local here in California, tasting some really great and inspired Syrah products. Letting a few people come online here as we come up to speed. We've got a sold out tasting tonight. 5 really incredible wines. Let me take you into our PowerPoint. That's how we lead things around here. Hopefully you got the samples okay in your hands. We're able to take it from there. I'm taking you right into our slideshow. We're going to get started with wine number 1, and that is from Joey Tensley. Each week we cover 5 or 6 different wines. Tonight we're really focused on some premium examples of Syrahs. These range in price point from $30 to $100 a bottle. But we've got some really excellent examples, and I think 5 is the magic number. Let's start off with Tinsley, Syrah, Santa Barbara. This is an overachiever every single time. Joey puts a lot of quality wine into this bottle. It's a Santa Barbara County appellation bottling. He makes a couple of different bottlings. This one, I believe the fruit is pulled from a number of different spots in Santa Barbara County. But Joey's got a nice storied past, working his way up through the ranks, worked for Beckman for a while, started his own brand, and got off to a pretty admirable start in 2001. A couple of his first few wines got some huge ratings and huge reviews in both the Spectator and in Parker, and kind of the path was set. And Joey continues to grow slowly and keeping an eye on quality and price value. He's a really dependable source for some really good juice. 94 points in this current effort, and I'd like to have you get that into your glass. My little jar number 1 here is going in. Syrah is a really dark, thick-skinned grape variety, as opposed to, say, Pinot Noir that would be lighter, thinner, in more shades of red. This hits more purples and darker colors. Syrah can be called Shiraz in Australia. It is a grape variety that is planted around the world. And tonight we're focused on premium bottlings from California. Some really nice, dark, rich, almost roasted cacao, um, some thicker cherry plum type skins. There's tends to be some very savory elements in Syrah. Can range into, and we'll see with a couple of the other examples, it goes from kind of a fruit aspect into a really savory aspect. And you can even get some like smoked and smoked meats type of character, kind of depending on the producer, depending on the place, and the style of the house. Joey's style is very fruit friendly, provocative, and kind of a wow wine when you consider the price point that he's able to make these wines at. He's definitely a Syrah expert. That is in his primary bailiwick. That's what Joey does. He's really great with Syrah. And this one comes in at a wonderful $30 price point. 94 points to get this kind of concentration, color, thickness, tension. Love to hear your thoughts. We got a nice audience tonight. I'm sure many of you guys you enjoy your Syrah, your Rhone. Syrah is a primary Rhone grape variety. Um, Prevalent in the Northern Rhone, and a lot of these wines are inspired by that Northern Rhone kind of Côte Rôtie style. This one is a great Santa Barbara style, and I think he does it really well, does it great justice and a really good price point. Love to hear your comments throughout the night. What do you guys think out there about Syrah number one? We have a little chat box. If you're not wanting to come out on camera and speak out loud, I welcome you to use our little chat box and get involved there. But I hope you find it nice and juicy. Maybe after a little bit more wine, you guys will be a little more talkative with me and provide me with a little bit of feedback. We got folks from all over California, all over the world, actually. Setsuko's in Japan. Thank you for joining us, Setsuko. Wendy, Mary, Clyde, Brian, Rex, the Peppers, how are you? Good to see you guys.
Oh, let's see if this works. Yeah,
Yeah,
with that score and this price, and that's a great value. This is a great wine.
thank you. Yeah, Wendy, sorry, they require the jaws of life to get some of these jars open, otherwise they leak a little bit. If you got a little a bottle opener, that's how we put them on, and that's how they come off the easiest as well. Um, I'm gonna move into wine number two. We're going to be tasting another Santa Barbara Darling here. This is a smaller, teeny producer in Santa Rita Hills, Camins to Dreams. I tasted this wine a few years back and really fell in love with it. This is in Santa Rita Hills and a little closer to the ocean, a little cooler, grown on diatomaceous earth from the Zotovich Vineyard. This is a single vineyard Syrah. They make a number of different Syrahs at Camins to Dreams. This is the single vineyard Zotovich. Wife combo. They both work in wine, both love wine, and really focus on making their dreams come true with getting a little brand of their own started here in California. We're using some really good material. Alban clone. Got to meet Mr. Alban recently. Asked him how he felt about having some of the clones named after him. Um, he is one of the reasons why some of these grapes are being propagated in California. He made sure that the material came in, um, correctly from some. They call it meso selection. They take some of the grapevine examples and propagate those. And he made sure some grapevines made it into the pool of uh, selection here. The farmers, the little nurseries they call them. He made sure that the nurseries got their really good material, and so they call it Alban. Won't go any deeper than that because back in the day, there wasn't a lot of legal logistics as to how those vines got selected, brought into the country. I'm sure some of it today would be a little frowned upon, but back in the old days, you just go right into the best vineyards of the world, take a cutting, and bring that in your suitcase right into the United States and propagate that. And that may or may not be how some of these got into this country. But this is a 383 and Alban 1. Vintage years 2018. I believe their first vintage was 17. Wine enthusiast, 95 points. Black pepper and violet, brawny and lavish, and yet extremely elegant on the nose. Single vineyard, cool climate expression of Syrah. The palate is smooth and creamy with polished tannins that stand up just enough, allowing flavors of boysenberry, pepper, sagebrush, and lead towards a lavender dusted finish. I got to go to Burgundy last week, brought back a little bit of a head cold. Today is like the first day I can actually taste a little bit and smell a little bit. Got some really good drugs. But a little head cold from traveling so much and a really great experience getting to see Burgundy. But this one's got a little more of a delicate nature to it, allowing you to really taste that singular place. I love the almost saltiness that you get in addition to the fruits that are maybe just not quite as ripe as an example number one. You get a little bit more red berry fruit, and the number one's a little more purple, blue range. And I really enjoy this Syrah very much. This was one of my top Syrah picks last year. I went back in when they found a little bit more inventory and kind of took all that they had so that I could keep an eye on this wine. Syrahs tend to reward having a little bit of time in the cellar. I like being able to sell something with a couple of years of age on it. 2018 was an amazing vintage in Santa Barbara. This wine's going to be really wonderful to watch over the next couple of years. I only got a couple more cases now, but I think we've sold close to 15, 20 cases of this wine over time. Thank you, Wendy. Delicious. I agree. Huge fan of the Zotovich Syrah and love tasting this one from a different winemaker's same source and really good winemaking technique here. I enjoy it as well. Syrah, honestly, if you go back 10, 15 years, Syrah was really a tough sell. A lot of small producers, maybe Pinot producers made a little Syrah, some Cab producers made a little Syrah, and the demand for Syrah really hadn't built. So the audience is really just still kind of forming now. I think that, like many grape varieties, you often don't know what you're going to get when you open a bottle of Syrah. Is going to be that big, beefy, chewy, ripe, rich, or earthy, and it can range. And we're going to see a pretty good range here today. These are all excellent, but there's still quite a bit of diversity in the style and what to expect. You go to open up a Napa Valley Cabernet, you kind of know exactly what you're going to get and what to expect. And I think that's where, varieties have a little bit of a hard time gaining traction, gaining audience, mass. And so it's through the, continued elevation in quality and style, wines like these available in the marketplace for relative value, big scoring wines. They're not inexpensive, but compared to their cab brethren, these wines are getting more affordable. And I saw with the pandemic and the way people started changing their drinking styles, people really starting to gravitate towards Syrah, and Syrah taking a pretty aggressive step forward. I won't say it's outselling Cabernet, but I think it's getting closer and closer to keeping up with domestic Cabernet. So that's exciting times, and that's just one person's, living in LA. You get kind of a slanted view of the world, but I really do think Syrah is a remarkable grape variety, and I honestly sometimes just out of like, hey, what do you want to taste tonight? Syrah has started to become like one of my primary go-to varieties. I move it around a bunch, but I actually start to crave just the joy that Syrah can bring I like it just sit around, watch a movie, drink it, have a good time. It's super great with wonderful roasted meats, sure, but it's also really good as just like a drinking wine. Uh, I get a lot of joy at smelling the different places, the different accents, and the little stylistic things that these type of wines achieve here. Couple more pictures, just finishing up wine number two, Camins to Dreams. This is the Zotovich 2018. I've got about a couple cases left on the website. I've got a pretty generous supply of the Tensley as well. The Tensley around 30 bucks. I believe this one's pressing 45. And this at about $43. I know that newer vintages will be quite a bit more. So relative value here for such a wonderful expression, such a jewel, a small production. It's a really, really great wine. I'd love to own either of those first two wines for the next 5 years, easy, and into the future from there. Wine number three, Coriolis. This is a brand that we featured just a couple of weeks ago when we did an Oregon Pinot tasting. And you're like, how is a Syrah from California being made in Oregon? Well, Antica Terra is one of the more exciting, hard to get Oregon producers. And their head winemaker is Maggie Harrison. And she used to work for Cinquanon. Now, Cinquanon had this vineyard, but over the past decade or so, Cinquanon has been moving more and more towards estate grape growing. They actually own their own vineyards now in Ventura County, and they were not going to sign up with this vineyard long term. And Maggie asked about it, and they agreed to let Maggie work with it. So Maggie's making world-class Pinot in Oregon, but she is able to oversee the production of this wine as well. And the Coriolis wines are made by Antica Terra, and all the proceeds go to charity. This is a Santa Maria Valley vineyard that is grown in Santa Maria Valley, produced at Antica Terra in Oregon. So I believe it's required to carry a bigger appellation. It can't be single vineyard and it can't be um, Santa Barbara even. I think it has to be declassified to California as its appellation, and that's what they do. Even though it is a single vineyard and it is from Santa Maria Valley, but because it crosses the state line, I think that's where we get into a different situation here. But Antica Terra, if you've heard of them before, you know that they're special. If you haven't, trust me, this is one of the top, most sought after brands in Oregon. And this name Coriolis kind of came around because of the brand's connection, mathematics, and um, and just kind of the way the Coriolis force, which is something that they identified with. So they like the name, stuck with it. Here's a look in the vineyard, Santa Maria Valley. Meaty, savory, and loaded with tons of blackberries, um, blueberries, coffee beans, white sage, and crushed granite rock. Culty hedonistic style. Chewier, denser, good concentration. Good score, good wine, great story. There's Maggie Harrison. There's Antica Terra. Got somebody on my Ring camera. Let me just make sure I'm safe here.
I'm sorry. Did you say what vineyard that was, or you'd rather not say?
Actually, I'm not they don't say. They are t speaking about the fruit being from White Hawk and Nacido.
Oh,
Uh,
okay, I missed that. Yeah, thank you.
but I believe it's an actual single vineyard that's right there between White Hawk and Bienecido is the way it was told to me. It was a single vineyard. And it is being taken up and made in Oregon so that it can't really carry that you can't appellate that way when you're taking it across state lines. So it has to be declassified to California. So it says on the back label 2019 Syrah, California, produced and bottled by Coriolis in Dundee, Oregon. 58 dollars, 60, let's call it 60 bucks, $59. Um, this is truly a special little bonus. You could look around, you're not going to see this in many places. I discovered it on kind of a happy accident. Was reading a story about Maggie Harrison, reading about Antica Terra, heard about Coriolis, and then I look into a wine book with a visiting vendor, and boom, there's Coriolis on the page. I'm like, oh, do you guys sell Antica Terra? Well, they actually don't have any Antica Terra to sell, and but Coriolis is something I could buy. Had the conversation, tasted the wines, loved them, and I'm gonna sell every bottle I can get my hands on. The Pinot's almost sold out because we did a little Pinot program a couple of weeks ago, and that already had a couple of fans. The Syrah gets sucked up in 6, 8, 10 bottle orders, and I bought a pretty good chunk of these wines. If you like the Coriolis, I would jump on it right as soon as you can because it's not going to be around for forever. Um, tonight we're talking about Syrah, and every week I take on a different topic, a different place, a different grape, a different producer. We move it around as much as we can. Coming up in the weeks to follow, we've got a great Sauvignon Blanc Zoom where I'm really tasting you on some killer versions of Sauvignon Blanc, really high end, top examples of Sauvignon Blanc. Get you excited about that. We also are doing this white wine workshop, tasting some of the great classics of France, going around some different great white wine, grape varieties. Of course, it's warming up here in California, so I want to be on time with the right wine discussion, with the right wines at the right moment in the month. Um, we'll move on now to wine number 4 in our discussion. We're going into Ledge. Hope I'm not going too fast. As I said earlier, kind of brought back a little bit of a cold. My first time being able to taste wine. See, I'm having a hard time opening these too. It's not just you, but if we didn't put them on that tightly, they wouldn't work that well. They got to be tight to hold the wine, not let them leak, and keep them pretty airtight, obviously. In the glass, Ledge. This is another great Santa Barbara effort coming out of some really old vines in Bienecido. Mark Adams works with some great vineyards of his own up in Paso Robles, but he also is able to source some really top sites. And he sources this old block in Nacido. Nacido, by the way, is about a 1,600-acre vineyard in Santa Maria Valley. When you say Santa Maria, you would probably be right more than you're wrong saying, "Oh, Nacido," because Nacido is such a big part of the Santa Maria Valley. But there are another number of other really successful small vineyard sites in Santa Maria Valley. And Mark was able to get his hands on this tremendous block in Nacido. His family story kind of cool. Mom and dad had some land up in Paso. Mark was in the music industry, and parents gave him a chance to make some wine up in Paso, and just kind of dove in with both feet, and learned some lessons the hard way, but has really built a nice reputation. His brand is doing quite well. He, like many others, got a lot of exposure to Justin Smith at Saxum, one of the kind of the pillars of great Syrah production in 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 Paso Robles anyway. Justin Smith's style, his focus on quality, his family as well. Justin's parents own the James Berry Vineyard, where Justin gets his fruit. So he's got a really great foundation to work with, and he's able to go for it. Just absolutely go for making the best Syrah in the world. 99, 100 points, almost every vintage. His wines are selling for somewhere around 150 to $200 a bottle, and they're very hard to get. That's Saxum. So there's a whole subset of people that used to work for him, that worked around him, that stodged, that came in, just wanted to learn and see how are you doing that with this great grape variety. And so Mark Adams is another disciple, and he's got his own great vineyards right next to James Berry, by the way. So the Ledge brand is in a pretty good shape because they own some really nice vineyards. Um, but this particular site is actually a selection out of the Bienacido. It's 100% Estrella clone, called Block 11B. That's the spot inside of the Bienacido Vineyard old vine site. This one's 100% destemmed, wild ferments, and then aged about 20 months in 80% new French oak. 98 points Jeb Dunnick, and this is on the heels of prior 96 to 99 point scores on the same wine. Wow. And this is where you really pick up on that smoky, gamey note. Almost, you can almost smell like smoked meats, bacon, those type of accents and stuff. Really, just a fantastic Syrah. This is not easy to do. It takes a great selection from a great vineyard. These are like pea berries, and it's a lot of noble work. There's Mark now. There's the Ledge bottle. Very cool stuff. You're looking at $85 a bottle, so you're getting up there, and in the these are the big wines of the night sometimes, but still for an 89 point wine, it's under 100 point or $100, sorry. It's a lot of wine for the money. This is a great wine. This is just truly delicious, and building a great reputation. I love it. I only get a case a year. I think I have about 7 or 8 bottles left. So if you like this wine, help yourself. Um, the next vintage is coming into stock soon, so I want to make sure you get a chance to try this beauty and take some away. Wine 5, we've had Paul Lato as a guest on this show before. He is, one of my favorite producers in California, a very flashy, exotic producer, does not uh, really mess around with anything but high tier efforts. In this particular bottling, he's working with the Larner Vineyard. Mike Larner is a friend who's been on this Zoom with us. Larner is backbone of the um, Ballard Canyon appellation. You can see right there, number 3, surrounded by Los Olivos. Ballard Canyon kind of broke away as its own appellation a few years back, really focused on Syrah. And Larner is a top site. Robert Parker is waxed poetic about the quality of the vineyard. And if you get to go there, you could see this really amazing strata soil that's perfectly built for the production of Syrah and Rhone varieties. And that's kind of the story uh, of Ballard Canyon as well. I still think maybe the education part is in where is Ballard Canyon, because Larner itself is such a famous site in Santa Barbara that maybe Larner's, the real story here. But Ballard is the whole neighborhood, and it all has a lot in common, and they're all working together to make Rhone grape varieties really important. And I champion that. I applaud them for that. This one's 100% destemmed. Well, it says, as the two Syrahs, both were 100% varietal and mostly destemmed. Okay, so I think he's comparing two different Syrahs that Larner makes. We'll speak focused on the bottling that we're tasting tonight, which is called Cinematique or Cinematic. Um, that's the name of the wine. It is from the Larner Vineyard. Neutral barrels, 1/3 new, deep ruby color, floral, incredibly pure. I think I totally identify with that focus when you're seeing such a big, massive wine, you smell it and you notice just how remarkably focused and pure it is. And the elegance of this big style, but yet it's floral. Lots of wonderful subtlety, orange blossom, bouquet garnet, ground pepper, spring flowers. It really is pretty floral tonight. My senses are a little bit impacted from my travel, but I totally smell this wine in a different way. It's got just a really aromatic tendencies, and I think that's a very Paul Lato touch. Paul's done some great things, had some wonderful reviews. This is a look at the Larner Vineyard. You could see different slope. His wines are not inexpensive. He does some really severe selection. He takes a really, hard look at what he's doing, and doesn't make a lot of wine. So, the price is typically a result of great efficiency. And when there is no efficiency, that price can sting a little bit more. His bottle prices tend to be about $100 on this wine. I think my price is pretty sharp at 93.95. Mm. So dense, so beautiful. The purity thing is really an important part of this particular wine. That's why he makes it from a single source. He really wants to showcase his his abilities to really tell the story of the place or let the place tell its story. I think that's a better way to say it. I hope you guys enjoyed the five Syrah lineup tonight. Syrah is really a dynamic grape variety with a lot of personality. I think the better, there's every year more and more really top end bottlings to take a look at to compare and contrast. That's what we like to do. We like to line up really good wines next to each other, see how they compare and contrast. You can see which styles you identify with the most, maybe a price point that is more important to you, or maybe it's the quality angle. Um, I'm very appreciative that I get to do this with you guys and hope you guys enjoy. Take a look at the Zoom into Wine calendar. Notice the many different wonderful things that we have coming down the pipe. I think you'll be really impressed with the upcoming efforts. And I thank you guys for joining me tonight. Keeping it pretty tight at 40 minutes. That's not very common that we're done inside of 40, but I'm feeling the pain of the travel a little bit tonight, so probably being a little bit more succinct than normal. If anybody has any questions, I'll hang out for a couple. But otherwise, thank you for joining us tonight. Take a look at Zoom into Wine. And don't forget that if you participated tonight, you got a special discount code. For the month of May, we also are doing this really amazing free shipping offer anywhere in the country. The order is over 400 bucks. The shipping is on us for the month of May. Of course, in Los Angeles, if it's over $100, you get free delivery. And anywhere in California, it's only 20 bucks to deliver. But outside of California, shipping can get brutal. And we're covering that on orders of $400 or more. So uh, jump on that if you can during the month of May. Anytime before the end of May, we can ship. We get that special price. We're getting special prices from our vendors, so we're sharing that with our audience. And it's a wonderful month to kind of stock up before the summertime. Thank you, Michael. I'm glad you enjoyed the selections tonight, and I hope you all have a great night. And as I always say at the end of our program, go Dodgers. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.